I wasn't supposed to hear it, but that night, I heard my daughter planning something that broke me. You know, at my age, sleep doesn't come easy. People think old age brings peace, but no one tells you about the long, quiet nights where your thoughts grow louder than the world. That night, it was past midnight. The ceiling fan creaked like it always does, and I was lying there, staring into the darkness, thinking about nothing and everything. I remember feeling thirsty. Such a small thing, isn't it? A glass of water. I slowly got up, careful not to make noise. My knees, they don't listen to me anymore. Every step feels like a negotiation with pain. But I didn't want to wake her, my daughter. She had come home late that evening, said she was tired, didn't even eat properly. I felt bad, you know. I always do. As I walked down the hallway, I noticed her bedroom light was still on. That surprised me. She had said she was exhausted. I thought maybe she was on a call with someone from work. These days, everything is work, work, work. I was about to pass by quietly when I heard my name. That's when my feet stopped. I didn't mean to listen. God knows I didn't. But when an old woman hears her own name whispered in the middle of the night, something inside her freezes. I stood there just outside her door, my hand trembling against the wall for support. At first her voice was soft, careful, like she didn't want to be overheard. "She has no idea," she said. I felt a strange chill run through me. No idea about what? Then another voice came through the phone. A man's voice. I couldn't hear him clearly, but I knew it wasn't anyone from our family. My daughter laughed. Laughed. Do you understand what I'm saying? There was something in that laugh. Something I had never heard before. It wasn't warmth. It wasn't love. It was sharp, calculating. "She trusts me completely," she continued. "Why wouldn't she? I'm her daughter." I don't know what kept me standing there. Maybe shock. Maybe fear. Maybe some foolish hope that I had misunderstood. But then she said something that made my heart feel like it had stopped beating altogether. "Once the papers are signed, everything will be in my name. The house, the savings, all of it." I felt like the ground beneath me disappeared. Papers? What papers? My hands started shaking so badly, I had to press them against my chest to keep myself steady. My breathing grew shallow. I wanted to walk away. I wanted to pretend I had heard nothing. But my legs, they refused to move. The man on the phone said something again, and this time my daughter's voice turned cold. "She's old. It's not like she's going to fight it. And even if she does, who's going to believe her? I'll just say she's confused. Maybe even losing her memory." That was the moment something inside me cracked. You see, I raised that girl with everything I had. After her father passed away, I became both mother and father to her. I worked long hours, skipped meals, sold my jewelry, just so she could study in a good school where nice clothes live a life better than mine. And now she was planning to take everything from me. Not just the house, not just the money, but my dignity, my voice, my sanity. I leaned against the wall, trying not to collapse. Tears were falling, but I didn't even realize when they started. It felt like I was watching someone else's life, not mine. "She won't suspect anything," my daughter said again. "I'll tell her it's just routine paperwork. Maybe something about the bank or property taxes. She never reads anything properly anyway." That hurt more than anything else. Because it was true. I trusted her blindly. Why would I not? She was my daughter. My only family. I don't know how long I stood there. Minutes? Hours? Time didn't make sense anymore. Every word she spoke felt like a knife being pushed deeper into my heart. Then she said something softer, almost irritated. "I just want this over with. I've already wasted enough time taking care of her." Wasted time. taking care of her. Those words, they echoed in my mind again and again. Was I a burden? All those evenings we spent together. All those meals I cooked for her, waiting for her to come home. All those little moments where I thought we were happy, were they nothing to her? Just wasted time? I couldn't listen anymore. I turned away slowly, trying to keep my footsteps silent. But inside me, everything was screaming. My chest felt heavy, like someone had placed a stone over my heart. I went back to my room, but I didn't lie down. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my hands. These hands had held her when she was a baby. These hands had wiped her tears when she fell. These hands had worked day and night to build a home for her. And now those same hands were being used as a weakness against me. I felt afraid. Not of losing the house or the money. I was afraid of losing myself. Of being turned into a helpless, voiceless old woman that no one would believe. Because she was right about one thing. People don't listen to the old. They smile politely, nod their heads, and then they believe the younger, stronger voice. What would I say? My daughter is trying to cheat me? Who would believe that? Who would take my side? I wiped my tears slowly and took a deep breath. For the first time in years, I felt something I had almost forgotten. Suspicion. And beneath it, something stronger. A quiet, growing determination. If she thought I was weak, if she thought I would just sign whatever she put in front of me, then she didn't know her mother at all. I may be old, I may be tired, but I am not finished yet. That night I made a decision. I would not confront her. Not yet. No, I would wait. I would watch. And I would make sure that when the truth came out, it would not be my voice that broke. It would be hers. You see, when you reach this age, people assume two things about you: that you are either too tired to fight, or too confused to understand. My daughter believed both. She was wrong. The morning after that night, I woke up before her. I didn't sleep at all, not even for a minute. My eyes burned, my head ached, but my mind had never been clearer. I sat in the kitchen, waiting. When she finally came out of her room, she looked exactly the same as she always did, calm, composed, even a little affectionate. "Good morning, Ma," she said, smiling as she poured herself tea. That smile. Oh, how easily I used to trust it. I smiled back. "Good morning, Beta." My voice didn't shake. That surprised even me. She sat across from me, scrolling through her phone like nothing had changed. Like she hadn't shattered something sacred just a few hours ago. For a moment I wondered, how long had this been going on? How many times had she looked at me like this, while hiding such thoughts behind her eyes? "You didn't sleep well?" she asked, glancing at me briefly. I let out a soft chuckle. "Old age," I said. "Sleep and I are no longer friends." She nodded, uninterested. And just like that, the conversation ended. But something had changed. Not outside. Inside me. That day I started paying attention, not like a mother, but like a stranger observing another stranger. I noticed how often she was on calls, stepping into another room and lowering her voice. I noticed how she would quickly close her laptop when I walked in. I noticed the impatience in her tone when I asked simple questions. Things I had ignored before, things I had chosen not to see. Because love can be blind. But betrayal opens your eyes in the cruelest way. 2 days later, she brought it up. "Ma," she said casually, placing a few papers on the table. "I need your help with something." I looked at those papers, and in that moment my heart started pounding again, but my face remained calm. "What is it?" I asked. "Just some routine documents," she said. "Bank-related. Property updates. Nothing complicated." Nothing complicated. I almost smiled. She slid a pen toward me. "Just sign here and here." I picked up the paper slowly. My hands didn't tremble this time. Instead of signing immediately, I adjusted my glasses and began to read. That's when I saw it. Transfer of ownership. Everything. The house, the land, my savings, all of it being quietly moved into her name, without any protection, without any mention of my rights, without me. I felt that same crack inside my chest, but this time it didn't break me. It hardened me. "Oh," I said softly, "this looks important." She shrugged. "Just formalities, Ma. These things are necessary nowadays." Necessary to erase me from my own life. I placed the papers back on the table gently. "I'll sign them later," I said. Her expression changed. Just slightly, but I saw it. A flicker of irritation. "Why later?" she asked. "It'll only take a minute." "I want to read them properly," I replied, meeting her eyes. There was silence between us. A heavy, uncomfortable silence. Then she laughed lightly. "Since when do you read these things, Ma? You'll just get confused." There it was again. Confused. I leaned back in my chair and smiled faintly. "Maybe I've been confused for too long," I said. For a second, just a second, I saw something in her eyes. Not guilt, not shame, but calculation. That's when I knew. She wasn't going to stop, so I had to move faster. That afternoon while she was out, I did something I hadn't done in years. I stepped out alone. The sun felt harsher than I remembered. The streets louder, the world faster. But I kept walking one slow step at a time, until I reached the one place I knew I could still find clarity. A lawyer's office. My late husband had once trusted him, and in that moment I chose to trust that memory. I showed him the documents. He read them carefully, his expression growing serious. "Madam," he said finally, "if you had signed these, you would have lost everything." I nodded. "I know." He looked at me with concern. "Do you want to take legal action?" I thought about it. About courts. About police. About dragging my own daughter into a public fight. And suddenly, I felt tired. Not weak. Just tired. "No," I said quietly. "Not yet." Instead, I asked him for something else. Advice. Protection. A way to ensure that no one, not even my own blood, could take what was mine without my will. And that's exactly what we did. By the time I returned home, everything had changed again. Not outside. Inside. That evening, she brought the papers back. "Ma, we need to finish this," she said, a hint of impatience slipping through. I looked at her for a long moment. This girl, this woman was once the child I held close to my heart. And now she stood in front of me like a stranger. I took the papers, picked up the pen, and signed. Her face lit up instantly. Relief. Victory. It was all there. But what she didn't know, what she couldn't see, was that those papers no longer held the power she thought they did. Because earlier that day, I had already secured everything. Legally. Carefully. Irrevocably. Nothing could be transferred without my explicit approval anymore. Nothing could be taken from me, not by trickery, not by lies. She had lost the moment I decided to stop being blind. A few days later, the truth came out. Not through shouting, not through accusations, but through silence. She went to finalize the process, and came back home with a face I will never forget. Confused, frustrated, almost afraid. "Ma," she said slowly, "did you change something?" I looked at her calmly. "Yes," I said. "What did you do?" Her voice sharpened. I held her gaze. "For the first time in years," I replied, "I protected myself. There were no tears in my eyes. No anger. Just clarity." She opened her mouth to say something, then closed it again. Because for the first time she realized something. I was no longer the woman she could control. Days passed, then weeks. We still live under the same roof. But something between us has ended. Not love perhaps, but trust. And sometimes I sit alone at night thinking about everything. Does it hurt? Yes. A mother's heart doesn't stop loving, even when it is broken. But I have learned something important. Peace does not always come from forgiveness. Sometimes it comes from distance, from boundaries, from knowing your worth, even when your own child forgets it. I wasn't supposed to hear that conversation, but maybe I was meant to, because that night didn't just break me, it woke me up. And at this stage of my life, that awakening was my greatest strength. A few days later, the truth came out, not through shouting, not through accusations, but through silence. She went to finalize the process and came back home with a face I will never forget. Confused, frustrated, almost afraid. "Ma," she said slowly, "did you change something?" I looked at her calmly. "Yes," I said. "What did you do?" Her voice sharpened. I held her gaze. "For the first time in years," I replied, "I protected myself." There were no tears in my eyes, no anger, just clarity. She opened her mouth to say something, then closed it again. Because for the first time she realized something. I was no longer the woman she could control. Days passed, then weeks. We still live under the same roof. But something between us has ended. Not love perhaps, but trust. And sometimes I sit alone at night thinking about everything. Does it hurt? Yes. A mother's heart doesn't stop loving, even when it is broken. But I have learned something important. Peace does not always come from forgiveness. Sometimes it comes from distance, from boundaries, from knowing your worth, even when your own child forgets it. I wasn't supposed to hear that conversation, but maybe I was meant to, because that night didn't just break me, it woke me up. And at this stage of my life, that awakening was my greatest strength.